I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ, 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 Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk, and I'm not a jerk. Apparently, I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. Man, I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast coming to you from ground zero. Apparently. I'm at the palatial von Stupp estate, and there are workmen crawling all over the joint. There's dudes with, what do you have, a hammer tacker? This guy just came in with a hammer tacker. I don't know what the fuck it is, but he had it, and he's going to use it in another room. So you might hear it at some point. Because normally, her house is usually a beehive of activity anyway, filled with strippers and lesbians and whatnot. But today, there's only one lesbian here. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm sure I'm not. No, there's workmen here, and they're all doing business, which sounds horrible. What if they were fucking like in the other room? That sounds terrible, doesn't it? These workmen are here doing business, because doing business means something entirely different in certain worlds. All right, but these guys are actually doing business. Like to me, doing business, that could be any number of things. You could be in a restroom, you could be, you could be face deep in the hoopla, you could be doing anything. But to these guys, doing business means actually doing their business, which is fixing things. So. They will be coming in, and they'll be going upstairs or walking past or walking through. Perhaps I'll grab one for a short interview about what it's like to have a job. I may make them sit down and speak directly into my microphone. I just want to see a burly, tough construction worker come down and have to sit here and share my headset mic with me. So like our lips are only separated by the tiny boom mic that's between us. And see if somehow he gives himself over to my animal magnetism, because I can sway somebody. Don't kid yourself. You get within an inch and a half of my very kissable lips, and God knows you're going to fall into it. There's nothing you can do about it. Seriously, you're going to be like, plant one on me anywhere. I don't care. Ear, face, nose. Although nose, that would be very odd. I don't know who wants to get kissed on the nose, except for a small child and our friend Lily, who's raising her hand. That's Lily von Stupp, whose job it is to laugh. We all learned that a couple weeks ago, and there she is, earning her money. And by money, I mean nothing. But she keeps mentioning it now, like she's kind of hinting like she wants to get paid. I came in today, and our friend Lily is smoking, folks. Feel free to write her at lily@burlesque411.com and explain to her how horrible it is that she's smoking. Because, smoking is terrible, as we all know. You know who doesn't know that? My wife. She continues to live inside of a pack of Merit Ultima 100s. And here's how this is when it's bad for you to be smoking. When you go into the liquor store and they're like, "Hey, Karen!" They know who she is because she's constantly in there buying packs of cigarettes. And then we'll stop and she'll be like, "Could you go in and get one for me?" And I always told her, I won't enable her that way. I won't go in and buy cigarettes for her. But sometimes, I have to realize that she works, 45 hours a week, and I don't do anything. So I have to go in there for her, and then I'll walk in and they'll go, "Where is she, car?" And then that sounds horrible. Like they're gonna, why do you have a hit squad that's gonna take her for ransom or something? What's happening here? But instead, I just go, "Yeah, she's in the car, worked all day," and they're like, "Oh." And by the way, the guy who works at the liquor store, he looks just like Lou, the racist bartender, but he's an Arab, like he's like a Palestinian or something. So I always say it's Arabian Lou. Whenever we go there, I go, "Oh, fucking Arabian Lou is in there." And then Karen's like, "Go get me some cigarettes, please." Karen, not home, by the way. That should explain why I'm talking so much. I don't know. I talk a lot anyway. Karen is not home. She's been gone for like 4 days because of her work, and believe me, you wouldn't know it because I keep a neat home, folks. I keep a neat house even when she's not there. But I got a sock that looks like it's gonna run away on its own. It is not good. This sock, I have abused this sock to the point where I think it may actually somehow make its way to the phone and call the Rape Crisis Center. This sock cannot be happy with me. This sock is like, "Oh, man, I have a job here. I'm a sock. What are you doing to me? This is horrible." I honestly believe if you boiled this sock, I could have a kid. I don't know how the physiology of it works, but somehow if you boiled this sock, I could make a child out of it. I think that's how it could work out. Maybe. No? All right. So it's bad. Yeah, but she'll be home soon. and then she'll find that sock, which is horrible. Find it. It's gonna be on the road. It's gonna actually escape and like slink around, and it's gonna report me to the cops, and then I'm gonna get called in, and I'll be on News of the Weird for raping a sock. Which is better than the guy who raped a raccoon. Did you see that story? Guy raped a raccoon. Yeah, I was in the paper last week. Not the paper, but it was on the internet, which of course means it's true. As we all know, any story on the internet is absolutely true. But a guy raped a raccoon. Got a little loaded in Russia, I think it was, and I don't even know how drunk you gotta be to think, hey, I'm gonna fuck a raccoon. I mean, we've talked about fucking pandas and everything else on this show, but to actually have to make the leap. I mean, talking about it is one thing. Sure, we've all talked about it. Everyone has sat down and discussed the possibility of banging an animal. But to actually take that leap and make that step, that's got to be a lot of booze or a lot of money on the table in a bet. That's the only thing I can think. And a raccoon, why a raccoon? Raccoons aren't attractive. They got masks on and they got teeth. They're looking. Just stick your dick in a hat, okay? Honestly, you get like all the pleasure of the raccoon, and then none of the torrential claws and teeth that will go ahead and tear your scrotum apart. Which, seriously puts a damper on your sex. I can tell you that. Certainly, my prom night told me that you do not, any teeth involved in that are going to ruin any sex that you might have going on. And I didn't go to prom. That would be any other. I should say there was a night. All right, when I lived in Lake Tahoe, I was working as a bouncer, and then I wound up DJing sometimes. And by DJing, I mean I was the world's worst DJ. You would actually hear the song fade, and then I would mix in the next song. I was so bad at it. You do not want Mike Schmidt behind the wheels of steel. That's what I'm telling you, folks. But it didn't matter because I fucking loved it. And then here's how bad a DJ I was. I would actually DJ, and I would put on like a song, and I'd go dance. Like I'd be on the dance floor dancing, and then it would start to like kind of fade out, and I'd be like, I gotta get up there and put on another song. And an entire club would stop and wait for me to do it. In those days, your friend Mike was in a bar. And when you're in a bar, sometimes you'll meet young women of the loose variety. And there was this girl who came up into the DJ booth one time. And she was like kind of a little drunk. And for some reason, I was a celebrity because I was mixing the music, and she wanted to request, and it was funny when you were the DJ, people would offer you like bumps of coke and like all sorts of stuff to play a song. And it's like, hey, it's my job to play fucking songs. I mean, I understand you're being nice. You can hold on to your coke. I'll just go ahead and I'm happy to play, Prince or whatever the fuck you want me to play. So I would play stuff, and this woman comes into the DJ booth, and I was wearing shorts because that's what you wear in a club, folks, And we wind up like making out, and literally out of nowhere, she just thrusts her hand into my shorts, and I'm like, well, business is about to pick up, so I kind of like lean back and I look at her, and I'll never forget. I wish you can't see my face, but she made a face that was like, "Huh? You like that? Huh? Is that what you like?" But it was like mean, like a really angry. It was like an angry hand job face. Like it was just like she like we were making out, and she's like, "Yeah, we're making out," and then hand into the shorts is like, yeah, that's right," and like a fast crank, and I'm like, "What? That's not feeling good at all. No offense, but I mean, But again, when you're a dude and you got some strange chick who just grabs your cock, you're like, well, as long as she doesn't put in a pencil sharpener, I'm fine. So she's going at it, and she's just got like a fist, and then this was the weirdest thing. She like grabbed, she grabbed my balls and was holding them in her fist and like just looking at me like, oh yeah, like those are your balls. I'm like, yeah, yes they are. I mean, I brought them. Weird enough, I brought them to the club with me tonight, and that's where I keep them, right in that area where you've got a fistful of tennis ball right there. So she's going at it, and I'm still making the weird face, and I'm like, all right, I got to change the record. And as I lean over to change the record, she thinks it's cute to still be like jerking me off while I'm doing the record. So I have to do a crossfade. Well, my cock is getting cross-faded, so I'm like, all right, let's do this. Bing, bing, and it works, and I do it. So then we get back to making out, and then she's just like, I'm going to suck your dick. And I'm like, yes, you are. And anything to keep this death grip that you've got off of my cock, please. I mean, I don't think my cock breathes, but if he does, he hasn't in hours because of what you've just done to him. Jeez, you may have bruised my cock's trachea. I don't know if my cock has a trachea, but if he does, you've certainly done a number on it at this point. She's choking it like Homer Simpson working over Bart, like when he grabs him by the neck and he just goes, ah, 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 ah. My dick's actually making that noise. It's like, ah, ah, ah. I'm like, dude, seriously, we're playing music here. I don't want you to be heard over the music. So I'm trying to calm my dick down. She's throttling it. And I mean, she's hanging on to it like she's falling out of a plane. I mean, it's like she's got this death grip on it, and I can't even imagine what. Thank God it's dark, because if I look down, I'm sure like the head of my cock, it looks like a canned ham. It's all swollen up, and just because the blood's going nowhere. She's just holding just a fistful of it, and I'm like, all right. So finally, she decides that she's going to go and involve herself orally, and I'm like, great, please. So just so he doesn't choke to death. And she goes down on me, and just it was like the only thing I can say. All right, and it's funny. I should have known something. Like I should have realized that this might happen, because here, when we were making out, like in the booth, again, she was so drunk. She was she was like the college cheerleader of sex. Like she was like, go, 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 yes, yes, yes. Like she was that excited. Like I said, she's got a fistful of my dick and she's ready to fucking break it off and take it home. And when we were making out, she was jerking her face forward. Like she wasn't just kissing me. She was trying to climb into my mouth. I mean, our teeth were clicking together. It was like, have you ever kissed somebody who doesn't know how to kiss? Like, and they're that bad at it? Well, she's half in the bag anyway. And then, like I said, you know, she seizes my dick. That's the only word I can possibly use. She seized my cock. And then we're making out and she's banging her face into my face. And I'm like I'm at a Ramones show all of a sudden. What are you doing? Calm down. You know, I'll drive. It's all right. I mean, I understand you're working the gear shift, but let me drive up top. But it didn't matter, man. We'd be making out, and she'd be like, kink, kink, and our teeth are clicking together. And then she's going to go down on me, and I'm like, and again, this is how bad guys are. We're like, yeah, go ahead, even though, honestly, if she's that bad at the rest of it, how good is that going to be? It's going to be terrible. But everybody else, you know, you always, it's so funny. There's all these bullshit things. It's like, haha, blowjobs are like pizza. Even when they're bad, they're good. I'm here to tell you that's not correct.Because she went down on me, and she, you know what? She worked it like corn on the cob. I'm not going to lie to you folks. I mean, it was like she was trying to get to the prize in the center. I mean, she was just gnawing on it. Like it was like she needed the marrow, like a dog. I mean, it was just horrible. And I'm in a DJ booth, so there's people literally like a stone's throw away. I could have gotten help if I wanted help.But at that point, like I said, you know, it's my dick's in the wood chipper. Pulling it out now at this point isn't going to help. And she's just going to work on it. And it's so funny. I'm looking down at her. I'm just going, you're so bad at this. Like, I want to tell her that, but you don't, obviously, because, you know, my dick's in her mouth. And honestly, the way she's working it, she could chomp it off at any second. All of a sudden, she's Andy Dufresne and Shawshank, and I got an ice pick at her neck. So she proceeded to just gnaw on it like she was trying to honestly get away, and it was like my dick was in a bear trap, and she was trying to help me by gnawing it off so I could escape. So I can understand that, like when I hear about that guy fucking the raccoon, I'm like, well, I know what it would have been like. I don't even know how you come to that decision that you're going to, you know, that's drunk, man. That is so drunk. If you're like, you know what, dude, I'm going to go fuck a raccoon, honestly. Why raccoon? Because I can't catch the cat. That's why. Raccoons are not attractive animals. It makes no sense. I mean, usually you're chasing them with brooms to keep them away, and they're surly and they're angry, and we're angry at them. How are you going to seduce a raccoon? That makes no sense. Are you going to have a trail of garbage all the way to your cock? Is that how that's going to work? Like he's going to chew corn cobs and apple cores, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, you know what? This guy's been pretty nice. I'll give up some raccoon ass. Why not? Go ahead and tag me right under the curly tail. That's where I keep the area where I like to get tagged. And it's funny because and the raccoon wound up biting off his cock. Like, I mean, how do you not see that coming? If you're gonna, let me tell you, all right, here, just as a general rule, if you're going to fuck something that has razor sharp teeth, I would avoid the mouth area. If you believe me, trust me, and because this guy banged this raccoon, and he wasn't even like in a DJ booth, so he couldn't like signal for help. I mean, there was no way he could say, "Hey, this is happening." Yeah, that was so awful. Her face, and it's so funny. You ever see, like, I can see her face. I can close my eyes and see her face when she grabbed me and made that, like, when she seized it, when she. And I'm just this like, oh, yeah, you like that? No, fucking no, I don't like that. Jesus Christ. Like, it's like if I wasn't circumcised, I am now. because you just yanked off the whole helmet and everything. Oh, man. Watch the Super Bowl. Did you guys watch the Super Bowl? Of course you did. Why am I talking to you like that? Like you would. That's so stupid. Hey, did you guys watch the Super Bowl? Duh. All right. I enjoyed seeing Bruce Springsteen's cock come flying at me at 100 miles an hour. That was fun at the halftime show. It was just like he did this slide. You didn't see it. He ran and slid on his knees across the stage, and the cameraman is like right here, and he comes sliding at him, and boom, his crotch rammed right into the camera. Yeah. And then Bruce got up and he's smiling and he's like, ha ha, and he's laughing and everybody's having a good time. And I just pictured that cameraman with a black eye the next day. And everybody's like, hey, what happened to you? Bruce Springsteen hit me in the eye with his cock. I got a huge shiner from Boss Cock. Oh, man. I lost the pools. We lost the second quarter pool and the fourth quarter pool on last-minute plays. In the second quarter, we were winning, and Arizona was driving, and we had the numbers. We had the proper numbers. And what we needed Pittsburgh to pick the ball off or have a turnover. And I was like, and that's what happened. All of a sudden, Pittsburgh intercepted the ball, and I'm like, yeah, we just won. And I turned around to high-five somebody, and then I turned around, and the guy from Pittsburgh is still running. James Harrison is still running, and we're like, no, you got to tackle him, right? And he went 100 yards and scored a touchdown. So by rights, we shouldn't have won anyway because Arizona would have scored. But it just looked like, yeah, we won. No, we didn't win. Holy God. Nothing like losing on one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history where you're like, yay, that was good, but I lost money. Then we lost in the fourth quarter, too, at the last second. When the Cardinals scored and took the lead, we had the numbers all lined up again. And we're like, all they got to do is stop the Steelers. That's all they got to do. Steelers, one of the greatest drives in Super Bowl history, marched down the field and cost me another $60 or whatever the fuck it was. Jerks. But not as bad as my buddy. My buddy Walker was there. Arizona scored late with like 2.5 minutes left. And he makes this face. He's like, and we're like, what? Because he's in a huge pool. And he goes, that's me. I got the numbers. It was for $1,000, and he was winning, and all he needed was the Steelers to get stopped, and the Steelers did not get stopped. They marched down the field and scored, and then Walker was sitting there, and just this glum face, and we were at Mike Siegel's house, and Mike Siegel takes the pool sheet, and he goes, who wins fourth quarter pool? Walker! So Walker lost 1,000, but he won 60. So, it evened out there for him. Turned out to be good. Gambling is awful. Gambling is the worst. I mean, it's so fun to bet and get like the adrenaline rocking, and then when you lose, it's just this you're laying there going, oh my God, you just spit all over your computer monitor when you laughed. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Oh Jesus, that looked like a frisbee of DNA just went and splashed into the laptop screen. I did. Yeah, yes you did. I'm not lying. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, but and I'm glad you're at a different angle because otherwise, this show would have taken a horrible turn. And I was next thing you know, I'm passed out, and William L. Peterson's running a blue light over my face. Jesus, that was awful. All right, what are they talking about? Oh, gambling. Oh, gambling is terrible, dude. When I lived in Tahoe, when I was, back in the days when I was meeting girls with plenty of bite, girls with plenty of bite, that's what you call it. That was because that was funny. That was when I first started like getting laid. Why does that even matter? No one cares. Because I didn't lose it until I was 20? Is that when I lost it? I lost it in Tahoe, and then I think the old phrase is Katie bar the door. You know why? Because Mike's at the fucking door, Katie, and you're about to get pinned to the mattress. Jesus Christ, this guy's a walking hard-on for the next 2 years. But that's all I did. So, but that and gambling. I moved to Tahoe to gamble. Like, there was a guy named Guy, and I know that sounds weird, but he met me in Southern California. He's like, dude, I have a gambling thing. Like, why don't you come and work with me up in Lake Tahoe? And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I was doing nothing. I was aimless at this point. This is after I'd fallen asleep at the 7-Eleven and then, worked and ruined my Little Caesars thing with Lenny because my brother would give me jobs and then I was very bad at them. And, I worked at Little Caesars, and I was the kind of guy who would like call local restaurants to trade food. You ever do that if you work at a restaurant? I worked at Little Caesars, the best one ever. Oh my God, I worked at Little Caesars in Orange, California. Was it Orange? And there was a Baskin Robbins right next door, and we would call them and we'd be like, "Hey, you guys hungry?" And we would make them, because, here was the best thing about pizza. You could make one pizza and feed an entire crew somewhere, but then they had to give you like 10 sacks of food to equal it. So we would make a couple pizzas and just walk them over to Baskin Robbins, and then we would get like fucking 8 sundaes, and me and 2 other people would just like clean house on the Baskin Robbins. I don't know how American commerce survives, folks. I have no idea. Between all of the scams and all of the horrible things people have done, I think, you know what? I actually put a company out of business once. I fully believe I put a company out of business. I worked at a record store when I was a kid, and all right, I'll tell you this story. After school, after high school, after 5 years of unsuccessful high school, I needed to get a job, folks. And when you're back then, it mattered if you had a high school diploma. I guess I should say. Once you get older, you can just lie because they're not going to check your high school transcript. Nobody cares unless they listen to your free internet radio show. But when I was a kid, because you're around that age. Hold on, you hear that noise? That's workmen coming in and out. And I'll actually continue to talk. No, I don't care if you shush. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Take care of yourself. I don't know who that person was. They wouldn't talk. It's so funny when anybody sees anybody talking to a microphone, they immediately like get quiet. So she gave me a thumbs up. So I think she's on board with me recording. Was she like a landlord lady, or who is she? Is she does she work for the condo council? Don't. Okay. So you know what? I think I found a sore spot for young Lily Von Stupp. She's like, don't talk about my life. All right. So it's bad enough you're smoking. Now we know that you've got this lady running around.
Okay. You really want me to tell you?
Okay, she's there's a person from the condominium who's here. That's doing business. And, okay, so she's here, and that's great.
Yeah.
Enjoy that, everybody. I don't know why it was full, because normally I will stop if that sort of thing happens, but I figured it was going to be happening with such frequency today. And, I got to be honest, if you run a condo and you come in and you see somebody recording in there, don't we get to pay a tax? Isn't there like a jag-off tax? I'm sure there's some sort of jag-off tax in this town that I got to pay. Once they find out what this show really is, they're going to listen back to it and be like, oh, this guy's a prick. You got to give us $40 a month, which seems low for a jag-off tax, quite frankly. All right, so where was I? I forgot. I got lost because they checked. Oh, oh my God, yeah. So I needed to get a job, and back then, like I said, when you're that age, because I was like 17 at the time, and I needed to get a gig, and so everybody wants to know, what high school did you work at? No, not work at. Where'd you go? Who cares? My friends got me a job at a record store, and this was after I worked at a grocery store and ruined that job by doing things that I should not be doing that I think the statute of limitations have run out on, but I still don't feel like discussing. So. And here's the good thing too, by the way, go ahead and screw up at a place that your mom works at too. That'll work out great for everybody. So, I did that, and I'm not smart. So I wound up getting a job at a record store, and, I work with some people there, and, here's two of all right, I'll tell you this scam that I did first. We had to call in our own payroll, and you had to call in and tell them what hours you worked and stuff. So around Christmas one year, I was like, you know what? I got it. All right. So I called in the payroll, and, I gave myself 10 extra hours of work because I had worked 58 hours or something like that in the course of, it was like you called in every 10 days or something. So I worked 58 hours. So I called in and I went 58 hours. Like I said it like that to try to see if it would work and I would get extra money. I got a bigger paycheck. My check came from corporate. And it was had 10 extra hours. And I can tell you this, that $42.50 was huge money back then. I needed it desperately to pay for movies and late night dinners at Bob Evans. So it was the employees of this record store that I worked with, and what we did was we worked out a system because we had tons of cassette tapes and tons of albums, and it was a killer job. It was really fun. It was a record store in a mall, and we got to do our own inventory. So what we did was, the people who worked there we would take things. All right, we would take cassette tapes, and we would keep a running log of the price of the cassette tape. So there would be like $6.99, $7.99, $8.99, $9.99, $10.99. A double album would be like $12.99, and you had to keep track of what you took. And then when it came time to do inventory every 4 months, everyone would bring in their list, and we would add in the numbers that we all had taken over the previous 4 months. So the inventory that we would send to the corporate would match what they had sent us. So I got to think that after we did this we did it for a year. And let's put it this way. Remember I told the story in 7-Eleven and I had the gigantic suitcase of cassettes and it was double-sided, so it was like 300 cassettes? Yeah. I didn't even pay for the case. So we would do this, and then we would have our inventory, and it was funny. The only person who wasn't in on it was the manager. Like this girl who was the manager, because she saw apparently a very big career on the horizon with this company. And the rest of us really didn't fucking care. So we were taking cassettes, and then we would add in our numbers at the end of the time, and we would do our own inventory. So, and the mall we worked in was like this tumbleweed mall. I mean, there was nothing there but us and a shoe store. We were attached to a Kmart, and then there were guys meeting for blowjobs in the bathroom. Like, it was that kind of mall. Like, it was just this empty mall, because you would see guys would like write notes on the wall, like with times to meet. Security would have to go into the bathroom and like chase guys out all the time. So it was just this death mall in my hometown. And finally, our manager tells us one day that the company has gone out of business. They're bankrupt. And we're like, wow, that's horrible news. But then all of us are kind of like, well, I think we might know how it went bankrupt. But then in the final death blow, this will explain why the company went bankrupt, okay? In their final corporate decision, they let us do the final inventory and box everything up to send it back to the corporate office. So, I mean, at that point, I'm just taking shit that I don't even care. I'm like, who's that? Al Hurt? Throw it in the box. Couldn't care less. We're just hoovering everything that we possibly can at that point. And the best part is then, like 4 months later, I'm in my house. I go, Al Hurt? Well, how the fuck did this wind up here? Because we didn't care. It was just, I had cassettes that for still 2 months later were still in the cellophane, like that I never even opened. I don't, and here's the best part. The manager of this place, like I said, she really, I guess she envisioned a career with these guys. I don't know how it worked out. And then we got the notice that they were going bankrupt, and she was so bitter and upset that it was going bankrupt. And then we were doing the final inventory, and she was so mad. She was like, I'm so mad at these guys. You know what? I think I'm going to take a tape. You do that. You show them. You know what? Why don't you take two? I think that would really teach them a lesson. Meanwhile, I'm sleeping on unopened cassette tapes at my house. I have a cassette suitcase so big I can sleep in it like a hyperbaric chamber. I took that home. I took home like cassette luggage. I had a piece of music Samsonite that I brought to my house. And she's like, you know what? I might take one of those yellow inserts that you use to play 45s on your turntable. You do that. That's a good plan. Really stick it to the man, huh? I got everything but the fucking cash register out of that building. But by all means, you go ahead. Seriously, send them a stern message that you will not be trifled with. Grab a couple of tapes and get out of here. I felt like Damon Wayans in Beverly Hills Cop handing the bananas to Eddie Murphy. You take these tapes. You take these tapes and you run. By all means, send a message. Corporate can't do this to you. I shut down that company. I really believe I did. I think we shut down that company. Oh, man. We had an operation nothing short of The Sopranos. It was literally inventory in the front and then right out the fucking back. We might as well have had an unmarked van that we were just loading music into. Literally, it was like they always talk about the mob busts a place out. There's a great episode of The Sopranos where Robert Patrick gets into the mob and then they take his sporting goods store for everything it's worth. I did that to a record store. I cleaned them out. Made them pay me extra payroll by blurring my voice on there. I'm 17. This is how it started, folks. This is where it all started. What a jackass.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. We busted out a record store. That's hilarious. All right. And it's not hilarious. I understand. I look back and I'm sure it's fucking horrible. I know it's a terrible thing, but it happened. And I don't think, you know what? I don't have a cassette tape at my house. Like, not one. I don't know where they are. They're in some landfill somewhere. Just this, they've been unspooled. I'm sure corporate hanged themselves with whatever was left over. Oh, the only one I have left, Al Hurt. Still unopened. A monument to my craftiness and sneakability. Oh man, it's funny. I wasn't going to tell that story. I actually had to stop, and I'm like, because I know people that still, like, there are people who know me still that like might know of that story and might not be happy with me telling it. And so I'm like, well, I won't say any names, but then I always wonder if a story's worse because I don't say the names. Like, I think it's vague. Like, I'm like, this person, that person, and then this other person. But, you can't start saying names because the next thing you know, I got a SWAT team knocking down my door and go, who's involved? All of a sudden, Liam Neeson's got me tied to a chair with battery jumper cables on the arms, and he's pouring water on me. By the way, that's a plug. Go read my review of Taken over at the Comedy Film Nerds. I'm sure you'll love it. Why not? Everybody else did. Yeah, so I may be severing relationships with these stories. I don't know, but that's why I try to be as vague as possible. People will write me and be like, "Hey, we want to know more about that." No, you don't. Trust me, you don't. Nobody does. How did I get into that? How did I talk about? Actually, I'm responsible for the economy. That's how This new depression that's coming, this is all seismic fallout from what I did in 1985. The swapping of pizzas for Sundays with Baskin-Robbins has changed the face of American commerce. All right. Tahoe. That's what I was talking about. That's how this all began. So I met this guy named Guy. And he was like, dude, you need to come with me to Lake Tahoe because I have a job, like a gambling thing. And I'm like, all right, I'm in. Because, again, I'm doing nothing. I mean, what am I doing besides getting yelled at by my brother and ruining jobs? So I said, all right, I'm on the next plane, bus, or fucking boat to Tahoe. Let's do it. So he's going to go up in September because that's when the football season starts. And he wants to get established and get a place to live. And I can't go up until October. So he goes first. And I take care of some loose ends down where I live. And by that, I mean I sit around and do nothing for 4 weeks. And then I split and I go up there in October. Now, what it is Guy has a gambling proposition that he has extended to some friends and family where he lived up in the Bay Area. And I want to say they entered this agreement in good faith. But I think what I should properly say is they fell for it. What happened was Guy had been simulating football games and betting them in a simulation for like 4 years. And he came out winning. He always won. He always won like 65% of his games. So he presented these facts to like his cousin and some family friends and his mom and all these people. And he got them to back him with money and invest in a gambling program that he was going to go run. He was actually going to go to Tahoe, and I'm not kidding you folks, he got $35,000 from his family and friends to go and run his simulation football program for real. Like he was going to go and gamble up and bet football every week. And then I was going to come up and I was going to run the bets. I was going to go to Reno. I was going to, go to and place the bets in Tahoe, and you had to go to different casinos. Basically, it was two idiots playing grown-up with $35,000 of somebody else's money. Oh my God. So this is in 1987, like I said, and I get to Tahoe near the end of September, beginning of October, and Guy's system involved betting the best 5 bets of the week. So I don't know if you know anything about betting football. I will tell you, it's incredibly hard to win 2 games a week, every week. let alone 5. Go, seriously, sit down and try to pick 5 games a week and see what your record is at the end of the year. I mean, it's brutal. Against the spread, it's tough. But not only did Guy bet the top 5 bets of the week, but Guy's system was predicated on betting his entire bankroll every week on those 5 games. So that means he shows up with 35 grand. Okay, so he's got 5 games. He's going to bet 7 grand on each game. 5 games. And if, God forbid, he goes 0 for 5, he loses all of his fucking money. And he's never gone 0 for 5 in his simulations, so that's not going to be a problem. But just say that the possibility is out there lurking. So this is also 1987. I should tell you this. This is 1987. If you know anything about me, folks, you know that this is called the 40-year-old boy, but I'm 41. I was born in 1967. That means that I moved up there in like September, October of 87. That would make me 20 years old. I should tell you that Guy and I were the same age. We're 20, gambling $7,000 a week on football games, individual games. I mean, we're just asking to get taken down by the feds. I don't know what the fuck we were doing. And again, well, I know what I was doing. I was gravy training on a guy who asked me to come up to Tahoe. That's all I was fucking doing. But this guy had a plan. And I don't know how his family invested. It was shady from the fucking jump. But I said, I'm in, because again, I'm doing nothing. And what the hell? I've never lived in Tahoe. So I go to Tahoe. By the time I get there, it's 1987, and he's down a little bit because he hasn't had a great September. But I will also tell you this, folks. In 1987, the National Football League had a strike. And when that strike happened, it was like 3 weeks in, I think, October, right when I got there. And Guy, rather than take a step back and go, you know what, my system is predicated on betting the top 5 bets, but it's also predicated on professional football players playing professional football, he continues to gamble with the replacement players. The NFL went out and they hired a bunch of plumbers and a bunch of high school football coaches and fucking gym teachers to come in and play in NFL uniforms, and Guy continued to bet. What the fuck are you doing? And so I would say to him, dude, why are you still betting? Trust me, it's going to work out fine. Meanwhile, like I said, we're going out to eat. Because I have no income. He's paying me. He's paying me $800 a week to run the bets and be that guy and do a bunch of computer work. Basically, I was his friend. I was paid to be Gilligan. I was his Gilligan. Because again, I'm being paid to stay up all night and play computer football on one of the first Macs that I'd ever seen in my life. It's 87. He and I are playing a computer football game that is it was so fun, but also so simplistic. Literally, it was X's and O's on the screen, and you would punch in a play, he would punch in a play, and then you would watch the X's and O's smash into one another. That was the game. But it was fucking awesome. So we would stay up until, probably 7 in the morning gambling, and then I would go, sleep in my room, and then we'd wake up, and then we'd go eat a fancy dinner somewhere. And then he would bet hockey or basketball, because why not? He's got all this money from his cousin. I mean, it was just 2 fuck-ups walking into one another and playing. And look, I used to carry a gun. I'll tell you that. I had a briefcase with a gun, like it was his gun. I didn't know. It was like a 20. It was a small fucking like a 38 or a 22. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was small. But he would say, "You got to carry this." Why do I got to carry this? Why? Again, I'd never shot a gun in my life. I knew nothing about it, but it was worth it to be a tough guy. And I would wear a tie and carry my briefcase with a gun in it to go and bet. What an idiot! Just asking to be put in jail. Just begging for anyone to railroad me a fucking briefcase with $24,000 in cash and a gun. And I'm 20 in a casino. Idiot. Driving to Reno to find out, and not even driving, hiring a car service to take me to Reno. That's how much money we were spending. We had a car service that took me to Reno so I could go to different casinos and see what the lines were, to see if I could get an extra half point. Well, you know what? Getting the extra half point was not worth shelling out the fucking $80 each way car service. Oh, man. Just a couple of idiots hemorrhaging fucking cash. So he continues to bet during the replacement games, and I can't believe it. So then he kind of asks me if I can take a pay cut. And I am very understanding because, again, we're friends, and I see what he's going through, and I immediately say, fuck no. Because I see it all coming down. And then he's like, but honestly, I did. I said, yeah, that's cool. And he's like, maybe you should get a job. And I'm like, this is getting much worse than I thought. I thought we had this money and you had this system and everything, but it's all falling apart, man. And I can see it coming apart at the seams because we're up in this condo in the mountains, and we're shelling out money for food, and he bought a computer. I mean, it's crazy, hemorrhaging cash. So I wind up getting a job as a house painter. I enter an ad in the paper, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do this. That's fine. And if you folks know anything about me, you know that I don't enjoy work. And let me tell you something. House painting is fucking work. The first day I go with the guy, it's just me and a guy. It's not even like a crew. It's me and a dude. It could not have been a nicer man. He picks me up at 6 a.m. at the condo. And I'd gone to bed at 4:30. I tried to go to bed a little earlier, but I couldn't get to sleep because, again, my schedule is all fucked up. So he picks me up to go paint a house. He's going to work in the front. I work in the back. You know what I had to do in the back, folks? Here's what I had to do in the back. I had to sand off all of the paint from the back of the house. Think about that. I didn't have a sander or a blaster. I had to do it by hand with like sandpaper blocks. There was a banister. I actually had to have sandpaper on like a toothbrush looking thing, and I had to get in between the banister and sand the paint off so we could paint the house. I mean, I'm in the back and it's like sunny and it's really nice, and I'm just back there and it's like just me scraping constantly to get the paint off so we can paint the back of that. And he's like, hey, you want to go to lunch? Yes. Anything to get me away from this tedium because I'm about to murder myself. And we go to lunch, and then I work again the rest of the day, and then he goes and drops me off at the condo, and he shows up the next morning, and I don't answer the door. I laid on the futon, and I heard him knocking. I heard him ring the bell a few times, and I was not getting up. Done. One day of a house painting experience is more than enough for me. So I go to Guy, I go, look, I can't do that. So Guy's like, all right, so we wind up betting. So we get, finally the strike ends, but his bankroll is completely depleted. And his mom is calling, and he won't call his mom back. Like, he's got family calling the house because they're trying to find out what's going on, and he's not calling them back. And I actually wind up talking to his mom on the phone, and I'm like, no, everything's fine. Everything's okay. No, it's great. I got a job as a painter. And, anyway, so then trips to, Reno start to become few and far between because we can't afford the car service anymore. And, he takes his gun and he's going to, I don't want anything to do with it. And so then we get into November. And, again, the money's dwindling. We're eating out a little less or, eating at cheaper places. And finally, middle of November, one day he goes 0-4. Like, he loses the first 4 games, and the only game he has left is the night game, which is Chargers-Raiders. And the Raiders had not lost. I'm trying to remember what it was like. The Raiders had not lost in San Diego in, I think, 11 years. I mean, it was this crazy thing. So obviously he bet the Raiders. And I happened to be out at the casinos, and he was back at the condo. And I watched the game at the casinos because I was there to collect the money. Well, I had no money to collect after the first 4 games, so I decided to hang out and see if there was anything to scrape up after the last game. And suffice it to say, the Raiders went in and lost in San Diego. Hadn't lost there. He laid points even, and he lost outright. Like they got blistered. I think they got 8 sacks. Mark Wilson was their quarterback back then, and it was they just got absolutely fucking ambushed. And then the game was like close, but not really close. It was one of those games. I think they got sacked 8 times, whatever. So I'm back at the casino, and it dawned, there's no money. I mean, there's nothing left. I think I got like $100 on me, and I got to take a cab back to the condo. So by the time I get to the condo, I get in, and all the lights are out, like everything's dark, and I'm a little freaked out, and I'm like, Guy, and he's like, yeah. He's sitting in the dark in the living room. And I go, I guess you watched the game. And he's like, I can't fucking believe it. I can't fucking believe it. And he's just saying, I can't fucking believe it over and over. And I say to him, I go, look, don't worry about it. We're going to be fine. And he's like, no, you don't fucking understand. I just lost like 40 grand of my family's money. Like, I just lost all this money. I'm like, Guy, relax, okay? It's just, it's no big deal. You can make a fun, because I mean, and it's a huge fucking deal. I know it's a huge deal. But what do you say? I mean, I can't just go, yeah, you fucked up, way to go. I mean, I'm trying to do anything I can because, again, it's completely dark in the room. And remember, this guy's got a gun. All right, so I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. So he starts kind of babbling, like just kind of talking about his mom, and I don't know what to do. I mean, I have, again, I'm 20, and even at 40, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do because I'm not exactly Captain Crisis. You know what I mean? I don't know what the hell to do. So he stands up and he's getting manic and he's starting to pace. Thankfully, he doesn't have the gun. I immediately look, he doesn't have the gun on him. And I turn the lights on now because he's standing up. I figure it's safe. And he's walking in circles and he's pacing and he's pulling his hair out. Like he's literally pulling his hair and kind of pulling it out. And I'm like, dude, you need to calm down. You need to calm down. He goes, I gotta kill myself. That's all I can do is I can kill myself. I just got to kill myself. I'm like, you need to relax. You need to sit down. You need to relax. We can get through this. And again, remember, I have nothing. I mean, I don't know anybody in town but him. And again, he doesn't know anybody in town but me. And then the dregs of fucking humanity that we gamble with every day down at the casino. So I haven't grabbed him yet, but he's walking and he's like punching himself now. He's starting to punch himself in the arm, and it's like really strange. And finally he goes, fuck it, I got to kill myself. He goes outside to the balcony. We have a balcony, and we're on like the third floor of a condo. And he goes to jump. And he goes right to the balcony. He starts to climb up on it. And I go, Guy. And he climbs up and he goes, fuck it. And I grab him by the jacket now and I just whip him into the house and I throw him on the ground, hoping that will kind of wake him up. Like, I mean, like, dude. And he goes, you got to let me do this. And he was a big guy. He was probably like 6'5". And I wasn't crazy fat at the time. So he tries to get by me again, and I grab him again, and I put him up against the wall. I'm like, Guy, you need to calm down. He's like, fuck it. I gotta fucking die. And he goes to jump, like push, like, and now we're both going to go over. And it's like, well, fuck it. That's it. I'm done playing this game. And I pin him up against the wall, and I slap him as hard as I can in the face. I just open hand slap him as hard as I can in the face. You need to calm down. You need to get a grip. Okay? You need to fucking relax, and we need to figure out what we're going to do. You're not jumping off the balcony, because I'm not taking that phone call from your mom. So he just kind of like looks down, and he's shaking, and he's really weirded out, and he still punched himself in the arm kind of, but he stops. He stops being manic. And we go in to kind of talk about what's going to happen. And basically what's going to happen is we're going to move because we're not going to be able to make December rent in the condo. So over the next 2 weeks, like he kind of starts looking for a job, and so do I, and we try to figure out where we're going to live and what we're going to do. Well, by the end of the month, we really don't have anywhere to go, because basically what we did for getting jobs, this is what we did. He went to his own personal bank account and decided, let's go ahead and gamble that money, because that will let us get a stake and we can go ahead and start over. And again, I don't know anybody or anything about this town. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. So we wind up gambling. He winds up taking his money. We're gambling like hockey and college basketball and anything you could fucking imagine. And but we have nowhere to live, so we have to go at the end of the month and we move into a hotel. We moved into the Montgomery Inn, and the two of us are in a room with one bed. I'm sleeping on the floor. He sleeps in the bed. And what we would do is we would go during the day to the casinos and we'd gamble and try to win. And then we would come home and we would buy one pound bag of tortilla chips, and we would steal a jar of salsa. That's what we ate every single day. We would eat chips and salsa. That's all we would eat until the weekend, when the Montgomery Inn had complimentary donuts and coffee. We would stay up all night, Friday night. We would wait for the donut guy to come. Saturday morning, we would go down and we would just eat all the donuts. We would try to wait till the guy was out. And I mean, I didn't even drink coffee, but I was chugging it because it was fucking free. I didn't care. It was a fucking sugar rush. And we would pocket donuts and eat donuts and do whatever we could, and then drink as much coffee as possible, to the point where we'd come downstairs and the guy from the hotel was just like, oh shit. But we were paying our rent, so we got free pastry. We were excited. So meanwhile, we just get in this vicious cycle of gambling, and we weren't winning. I mean, we weren't doing that. we would occasionally win, and then we'd be able to pay a week's worth of rent. But then sometimes we didn't make rent, and we were homeless. We would sleep in the casino. And we relied on, like, we got to know people at the casino. There was this guy, John, who worked in the buffet. And if he was working in the buffet, he would feed us. We would go through the line, and he would see us, and he would just kind of like give a nod, and we would eat at the buffet. But that was few and far between because it just felt like a dick move to do that to John. So, but the good thing is when we would eat in a place like that, we would then steal tips off of the tables because we needed money. We needed to do something. And we would, we'd walk out of there with like $15, which we would immediately bet on the Canadians. Like, we're betting hockey. That's a fucking derelict when you're betting hockey. But we were essentially homeless. Like I would sleep in the casino for 3 days at a time. Like, and we were gambling and trying to steal money. It was very bad. And then they would lock up our room at the Montgomery Inn with all of our stuff. And then when we would get money, finally we'd go and be able to get our stuff out of jail. You know what I mean? Like they would have our clothes and our, his computer and everything, whatever else we had, and they would have to give it back to us and give us a room. So we played that game for a while, and that was not fun. I can tell you that, folks. That's I don't recommend being homeless and surviving on chips and salsa. You know what I do recommend it for? Losing weight. Because over the next 5 months, I lost 110 pounds because I had no money and nothing to do. It was just crazy. And we were gambling, and we just got into this horrible cycle. And finally, we actually rented a room from a woman and her son. And we rented a room, 2 guys renting a room. I can't believe she let us, but I don't know if she thought we were gay or not. All I know is we wound up, again, I'm spending every single moment of my life with this guy. And he still hasn't called his family. Like, I mean, it's this tragedy of epic proportions. We move in December. We move in with this woman, Dolores, who was very nice, and she rents us this room. And he gets a job at Radio Shack. I get a job at a pizza place. And so we're actually kind of making money. And I start making friends at the pizza place, like outside of him. But he's making no friends. And he's also living with the burden of having ripped his family off to the tune of $40,000. So he's kind of got his claws in me, and he hasn't adapted well to the town, whereas I'm kind of starting to make friends, but I'm with him virtually every minute of every day except for when we're working. So we're finally one day, we're at Dolores' house, and we're playing computer football. And again, we're playing the game that we had been playing forever, and we wind up playing a game, and I'm the Bears, and he's the the Cardinals. That's how old it is. There's still a St. Louis Cardinals. And I wind up winning late in the game or something. And he starts giving me a bunch of shit. And I say to him, I go, all right, enough, back off. And he starts talking shit to me. And I'm like, you need to calm down. He's like, no, fuck, you wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for me, And I go, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't fucking be here if it wasn't for you. And quite frankly, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me because you were going to jump off a fucking balcony 3 months ago. And we start having this drag-out fight, and he starts yelling at me. And finally I go, shut up. Shut the fuck up. I go, seriously, shut up or fight. He's like, what? I go, shut up or come out in the fucking yard and let me knock every tooth out of your fucking head because I'm tired of it. This is it. It was finally the schism where we were enough of one another. We had been through as much as we possibly could, as much as 2 human beings could go through with one another. I think we did. I mean, we went through homelessness and, theft and every other horrible thing. And I saw him lose $40,000. I mean, we'd been kind of each other's guy. We were married. We were essentially married for 4 months. And this was it. I finally said, I go, you need to shut up right now or you need to come outside and fight me because that's it. I'm not going to have this anymore. He's like, what? And I go, and he starts going, well, and I go, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck. Every time he'd open his mouth, I go, shut up or fight. Shut up or fight. Shut up or fight. And he shut up. And that was when I decided, you know what? I really have nothing to do with this guy ever again because a man would have fought me. I don't care what you think. A man would have fought me. If you get a guy in your face telling you to shut up or fight and you shut up, then you know what? You're a fucking pussy. Take a walk. And yeah, again, that's 20-year-old me talking, all right? And it's somewhat 41-year-old me talking. If someone is that, if you're that, you've got that much invested and you're that intense and you're actually talking a bunch of shit and someone says, that's it, let's go in the yard right now. And they're actually rolling their sleeves up like they're in a 1920s movie. Come on, let's go. You and me, shut up or fight. Shut up or fight. I'm serious. I am not going to take this anymore. I'm not going to listen to one more fucking word from you. We're going to go outside and fucking jam in the yard or you're going to shut the fuck up. That's it. And you shut up? Man, I don't know what to tell you. You know what? You should have jumped off the balcony 3 months ago. Because if you choose to shut up instead of fight, just go ahead and fucking kill yourself.
Did he?
Did he what?
Kill himself?
No. You know what's funny? He got this job at Radio Shack, and I was working at the pizza place, and then I wound up. That's when I started to make friends with people, and wound up started dating, and everything. My life started to kind of open up. He just continued to retreat within himself. And it's funny, the Radio Shack was kind of in the same strip mall as my pizza place. And he told me, he came up to me one day finally, and he said, hey, man, I've worked it out. He developed a system where he was hiding electronic equipment in the dumpster and then coming back and picking it up at night and going to pawn it or sell it, and then he was going to gamble with it. And I said to him, I go, dude, I'm out. I go, I'm
really?
out.
Really?
Finally. Because normally that sounds like a plan I'd be on board for immediately. Hey, you know what? That sounds great. Let's do it. But at this point, I had made friends and kind of moved on. And I was like, you know what, dude? You do your thing. And I think he actually got pinched doing it. I lost complete track of him. And it's funny. I haven't Googled him. I haven't tried to find him or anything. And because I'm sure whatever he's doing well. I can't imagine going to tell your family you lost 40 grand of their money betting on plumbers playing football. I just think that's the craziest fucking thing I've ever heard. But that's what he did, and that's what I did, and that's what got me to Tahoe. And then, I wound up living there for 2 years. But and it was the best. It was so great. And then I will tell you this: we lived with Dolores in her house, and this one was really nice. And she had a son, and I would help him with his homework, and it was really kind of neat. It was neat because again, living in a fucking hotel and eating free donuts and drinking coffee at 6 a.m—that's not conducive to anyone's growth. But then living with Dolores was fun, and it was great. And I will say this, I was at her house. I found the craziest vibrator I'd ever found in my entire life in her house. I know it makes no sense. I apologize, but I was, the phone rang, and I was near her bedroom, so I ran in to kind of grab the phone in her bedroom, and I had to take a message for her, so I was looking for a pad of paper. I opened up her night table, her nightstand, and it was, again, this is 1987, so the advances in sex toys, folks, are unbelievable. Because now you can go find it. Literally, it looks like they chopped off a guy's cock and put it in cellophane, and you can buy it. I mean, it's like now they've molded them, and they're just amazing looking. But I'm telling you, this one, it was just this hunk of awful looking plastic. It was, it might as well have just said on the side vibrator, like in big black letters. It was like ghostly white. And it was like kind of ribbed, but it looked like, what it looked like? It looked like the hose for a dryer. You know what I'm talking about? Like that kind of like weird ribbing all the way up to the top. And it wasn't even, it was shaped like a dick only in that it was like cylindrical, but at the top, and it was like, it had like a bulb on the top, almost like I want to say like a tennis ball, but it looked kind of like bigger. It wasn't a Hitachi magic wand, which is, longer and has the thing, but it wasn't that. It was a standalone plastic fucking vibrator, and it took like 5D batteries. It was one of those gigantic, it was crazy looking. And I remember grabbing it and then looking at it, and then I'm just like, well, why are you, put her vibrator away, you idiot. This woman took you in. It's like if Hansel and Gretel went and found the witch's vibrator. You know what I mean? Like, she took you in, idiots. Give her a break. So I had to put it away. And I put the vibrator away. But the funniest part is being on the phone. Hold on, let me try to find a pen. Oh my God! Hold on. I just stumbled onto a robot cock. And it's frightening. It's scary. Do me a favor, hang up and call 911 and get them over here immediately, because this thing might attack me at any second. It could go off. I'm going to need a bomb squad. There's a red wire and there's a blue wire, and there's like 9 batteries in this fucking thing. Please help me. And because it looks like just like a table leg with a pubic hair attached to it. Somebody fucking come here and tackle it. Honest to God, I'm going to put my foot on its neck and take Guy's gun and shoot the head off of it just so it doesn't kill again. You guys can write me at mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can get me at myspace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. You can go ahead and be my friend over there. You can go ahead and join me in my cause cause celeb? I don't know. But join me and be my friend. And also you can review me on iTunes. That would be fun. And also if you go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com/podcast.asp, there are subscription links so you can subscribe to this show either in iTunes or if you need a feed for your Zune/Rhapsody/ I don't know, Walkman. Maybe you can go ahead and put it in your Walkman. I have no idea. Maybe it works out that way. Guys, remember that Lily Von Stupp, our friend, is available at Burlesque 411. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com. And also remember the Monday Night Tease is every Monday night at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. And that show starts at 10 o'clock every Monday night. Go ahead and check it out. And are you dancing this week? You just there?
Hosting.
She's hosting, so go and watch her be funny and be partially naked. That'll be fun. And you want to plug your new shows yet? Are those up and running or no?
Yeah. MySpace Burlesque After Dark.
MySpace Burlesque After Dark. Where's that located? Oh, I'm sorry. Go to myspace.com/burlesque after dark. And there will be information about her coming shows. And Lily's becoming the burlesque entrepreneur. And she's going to leave me behind, quite frankly. It's just going to be her and boas and feathers and then no time to record this show. So go ahead and check that out. But again, you can write me, Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com, myspace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. Also, remember to go to comedyfilmnerds.com and read my review of Taken. Read all the reviews that are there. Go ahead and buy Lord Corret's CD, buy anybody's CD, buy Doug Benson's CD, buy Graham Elwood's stuff. Chris Mancini's got movies there, and I'm actually in one of his movies. He's selling Hit Clown. Go watch me be a bookie who gets shot. That's it's. Let me tell you, it's a classic performance, and I'm nothing if not a fantastic actor. And I'm only lucky, honestly, that Chris didn't keep the outtakes where I freaked out on the cinematographer for adjusting the lights while I was trying to get into character. Did you hear that? Did you hear Christian Bale freak out? Oh my God, it's the greatest. I'm so happy. And it's so funny. People are freaking out and they're upset at Christian Bale. Fuck you. Who cares? It's an actor screaming at a guy. I think it's fantastic. Because if you haven't heard it, Christian Bale is he's on the Terminator set and he's trying to do a scene and the director of photography, I guess, walks into the scene as they're shooting it and Christian Bale unloads on this guy for 4 minutes. I mean, just this, and like threatens to kick his ass like 9 times, says fuck, I think 37 times in 4 minutes, just absolutely fucking hammers him. And then he actually, the guy's trying to explain himself at one point, and you hear Christian Bale like run, like to attack him, and the people hold him back. It's fucking brilliant. And people are upset about it. I got to be honest with you, I'm not upset about it at all. I think, first of all, he should have done it in the Batman voice. I think that would have been hysterical if it had been like, why are you walking on the set? Like just freaking out. But also, I think if Hollywood had any sort of sense of humor, which they don't, by the way, we all know that, right? Hollywood has no sense of humor about itself. Because if they did, then David Letterman would still be hosting the Oscars. Because when David Letterman hosted the Oscars, he was hilarious. And you know why? Because he made fun of it. He was just like, this is a pompous, ridiculous event, and I'm going to take the piss out of it a little bit. And Hollywood was not happy about it. From Oprah, Oprah, he lost Hollywood, and that was it. One of the funniest things ever on the Oscars, David Letterman did a thing where he was in Cabin Boy. Yeah. He's the funniest thing in Cabin Boy. There's a scene with Chris Elliott. It's literally 90 seconds long, but he says to him at one point, hey, would you like to buy a monkey? David Letterman says that to Chris Elliott's character, the Cabin Boy. So on the Oscars, they came up with an idea to have a bunch of people do a dramatic reading of the line, hey, would you like to buy a monkey? And they had a bunch of different actors do it. John Turturro did it as Burt Lancaster. And I mean, they all just like, hey, would you like to buy a monkey? I can't even do it, but it was like all these different actors. But the funniest one, Michael Buffer, the boxing announcer, just went, monkey! Why would you ever ask him to do that? It is so ludicrous to even include him in this Hollywood thing. I thought it was fantastic. And again, they never had him in. So anyway, if Hollywood had any sense of humor about Christian Bale, you know what they'd do? They'd have him present the Academy Award for cinematography this year. Just have him walk out, just to hear the murmur in the crowd as he has to go up and give the speech. Directors of photography and cinematographers are the lifeblood of our industry and certainly make sure that every shot is done properly. Just to hear him have to say those words and smirk with his English accent and knowing that it's literally like making a child go up and apologize to the class. They should do it. They should absolutely fucking make him run out there. And you know what? He should even have to co-present with the guy he chewed out. Have them both watch the podium and just I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jagoff. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jagoff. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. 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 You're finished.